Welcome back to episode 4 of the homemade TCG series. I feel very fancy. I've got a kind of new camera setup. It should be a bit better quality, I'm hoping, if it's in focus. The screen over here is so small that I can barely see, so I'm just hoping we're in focus. Upgrading this setup as we upgrade the video quality. But before I start episode 4, I want to thank you so much for all the support. The first 3 videos have done really well. Even some of the shorts I've put up has done well. But I'm just kind of blown away that this even reached anyone. I'm just blown away, so thank you so much. Now all the mushy stuff is over with, let's jump into episode 4. Okay, so episode 4 is a bit of a different one. It might be a little bit more slow, a bit more not tutorial based, because this isn't a tutorial series. If this kind of aspect didn't really intrigue you, you might not enjoy this episode as much, but I'm going to try and make it as fun as possible, go through my stages, and at the end of the day you still get to see something new added to the card game. So what we're talking about this episode is logo designs, something that's very, very important to all TCGs, all brands, all IPs, everything like that. But something you just take for granted because it's just there all the time. Like, it's just always been there, you've always known it. Sure, it's changed over time and some brands go for a complete redesign, but you never really look at the logo and think, oh, that's a nice logo. You just don't really think about it. Oh, also, I have my coffee because every time I do the episodes, I only talk for like 20 minutes. Obviously, you guys see it's about 15 minutes, but my throat gets so dry. So originally my card game, before I switched it to the Mythic Guardians, was called, oh my god, I think it was Myths and Monsters, I think it was. And I had an original logo for that, and it was, well, I'll put it on screen as I'm talking. Sadly, I don't think I have a time lapse for it because, again, I didn't know I was going to make this series when I was doing all this stuff, so unless I go back and make a time lapse and recreate a logo, which I'm not going to do because it's going to take way too much work. But this logo, it was an okay logo. It didn't really fit a TCG. It fit more of like a board game kind of vibe, because TCGs, and you'll notice a lot of TCGs, they have to work on everything. Like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, even I would say Lorcana have a logo where if you put it on any of the brand stuff, it works with it. And what you also want from your logo is to go on the back of your card or your packaging. And the more I had this logo, and even though the name changed completely, but the more I had this logo, I really couldn't see it being like on the back of my cards, on my packaging, on my website, on my YouTube channel. Well, I didn't actually have a YouTube channel, but I was trying to think of all these places where it could look good, and I just couldn't see it. And the colours weren't really working. They were very childish, and I do think when you want to do TCG, and even though TCG can be for children and it can be for all ages, your logo shouldn't isolate the age, and I do think it did that. I do quite like the typography of it. The actual typography of the logo, with obviously the myths being more like wispy and kind of mystical, who would have figured, and monsters being like all cut up and clawed and sharp. It was a kind of, it's very simple typography, like it's a very like basic graphic design 101 thing, but it does work. It's why people do it. So I was kind of happy with that aspect, but like I said, I couldn't see it being on my card back, I couldn't see it being on my packaging. So when I did decide to rename my TCG, I thought it's kind of for the best, because I can make a new logo now. And the new logo I've made, I love it. And you've obviously seen it because it's in my channel banner, it's in my channel profile picture, it's probably been on some of the videos so far, it's in my intro song thing. So you've obviously seen it, and it's kind of annoying because it would have been a good surprise, but at the same time, when I made this channel, the TCG was already 7 months in. I made the logo like 4 months in, so I couldn't really not have it. But I'm going to show you roughly how I did it, but not a tutorial because I can't remake it, but I'm just going to show you the Photoshop file and like show you all the things I can do step by step by step, and kind of go over just why I changed the logo and just show you guys how much logo can matter to something. Okay, so hopefully you guys are seeing somewhere in the background my Photoshop screen recording of my logo template. So my logo, I'll be honest, when I make logos, I normally have an idea in my head, and I normally execute that idea within 1 or 2 passes of my logo. I'm not really a graphic designer that spends loads of time doing like 12 different logos, and I know that's not a good thing. It's not a benefit to my resume that I don't do that. But normally, if I have an idea in my head, those are my like 10 ideas, and I'll choose one and then I'll make it. So the logo you're seeing behind me was my second pass at this one. There was a first pass, but I've looked at my computer and I can't find the file to it. But it was very similar. It was just more, like I said, like sleek and modern, and it wasn't working, so I just stripped it all back. So what I wanted for this logo is I really wanted to ingrain my font in it. So the font that's on all the cards, which is like the card name, and I think maybe the attack font as well, if I'm remembering correctly, all have this font, and I don't remember what it was called. I think it's like Dragon Slayer or something. It's really, really cool, and it gives that kind of TCG vibe, and I wanted that to be my logo font. But the only problem is it's hard to shape because it has like the little wisps on it, and if you shape it wrong or go in italics and something not in italics, like it doesn't work with everything, which is really tricky because my logo, I want it to be very, very clear. No matter what size you have it, it doesn't matter what size it is, it's just very, very clear. Like Pokemon, no matter what size Pokemon is, like you can see the characters, you can see the colors, you can see the outline, it's very, very clear. I really want that with my logo. I really want it to be like, if it's this big on your phone in the corner of an Instagram banner, you can still see it. That's very important for logo design. It can't just be like a muddled up mess when you're looking at it from a distance. So as I was tinkering with ideas and I was chucking stuff and just seeing what worked, but I really wanted the colors to be purple and gold. Now, the reason I wanted it to be purple and gold is because there isn't really any big TCGs that are purple and gold. Like, unless I'm not thinking of one, you've got Pokemon, which is yellow and blue, obviously on the logo. You've got Yu-Gi-Oh, which is brown and red. That's what I consider it to be. You've got Lorcana, which I guess is browns and purple, kind of. Even like some YouTuber TCGs is very much like the blues and the purples. So I wanted something that was different and wanted to make it feel mythical and like grander than life. And obviously you can go from like yellow to gold, those work quite well, and then purple is kind of a royal color as well. It's just a very good coincidence that I could use those colors that work so well with my name. You just add elements that kind of infuse your card game with the logo, so like the gemstones, which I use a lot in my card designs and my monster designs, and then you have this kind of texture at the back of the logo, which is very representative of the art style I use, which is a very textured art style. So all these little things that you wouldn't really take a second look at, but that's the beauty of a logo, is if it seems seamless and no one's kind of taking a second look at it, perfect, that's what you want. You don't want someone to look at your logo and think, oh, that looks a bit off, or that's a bit wonky, that perspective is bad, that texture looks bad. You don't want people to notice your logo, if that makes sense. So even though you've seen it a million times, here's the final logo, and I'm really happy with this logo. And if you guys are happy with the logo, I will try and find footage of other logos. If I don't, I won't put it in, but I'm sure I've done a few other ones. But now that we have the logo and I'm happy with it, it's finalized, I won't change anything now, we can work on packaging and card backs and deck boxes. Obviously you've already seen like social, so social media banners and stuff, which is always useful. If I do make a website, again, it's really useful for websites. Once you've got the logo, you can kind of expand your brand in other places, which I think people kind of play down how important the logo is. It's the first thing anyone's going to see of your card game, most likely. So it's got to be good, it's got to stand out, you've got to be happy with it, and you'll be confident to show it off. So what's going to be really fun is when we get to the packaging side of this TCG and we get to make the deck logos, or you could say set logos, either one. So for example, I've got this lovely boxed Obsidian Flame Pokemon booster box, which again I thought would sell for more eventually, but it seems to be going down in price, but that's beside the point. So obviously here you can see, it might be out of focus for you guys, but you've got the Obsidian Flames logo. I feel like these are very underrated. They really can show off like how a set appeals to people, and you've got to make sure that whatever your logo is on your deck box or your set or your booster box, it has to match what's inside. I feel like a lot of people will just have their logo and just write the set underneath it, which is absolutely fine. If you're going for a more basic feel, a more streamlined feel, that's absolutely fine. But what I love about Pokemon is that they will have that logo match everything else in that set. So Obsidian Flame is covered in crystals and the flame's obviously red. Very basic stuff, but it does really work well. And if you can make it look really cool, I'm really excited to do that with my decks. And I haven't decided on my names yet for my decks, but I think if it relates to the cards inside, it will be really fun, colourful, I can make it nice. And I'd rather spend hours on that, making it look cool, making it stand out, than just have like a simple just text of what the deck box called. So that'd be really fun. And now I've got my logo, I can start working on that. Okay, so last thing I want to talk about in this episode is how my playtest went. In my head, I thought it was kind of in its final stages, but after playtesting it with not only one person, but myself and then a few other friends, I've now realised I want to change it just a little bit. So as you can see, we've got a spreadsheet of everything, and I really recommend doing this if you're making a card game, is make a spreadsheet. Even if it's just something just quick, just make a spreadsheet of your name of your monster's card, whatever it is, the stats, and then the abilities. If you're constantly going back and forth with cards and changing them up, you want to be able to see what you're changing, and if you feel like it's balanced enough, and like refer it to other things. Which I think it's really helped, because when I started this card game, I didn't have a spreadsheet, and I was kind of like trying to memorize what card stats had what and what name had it. It was a mess. So don't do what I did. Make a spreadsheet. As you can see, I'm going through it, and this is after my playtest. All the cards here, I'm just tweaking and changing. I'm not making any more big changes to the cards unless they were physically broken in the game and like created some sort of unusable loop, or were just way too strong that I feel like it was just easier to restart them. But just tweaking little things, changing a few stats by a couple of digits, making the abilities even worded differently to make them do a different thing makes a big difference. And I think after playtesting with people who don't play TCGs, it really helped me realize my game was just a little bit too simple. Like there was no real combos. You found maybe 2 cards cards in the deck that worked together, when normally a lot of times TCGs have a few cards that like bring other stuff out, have a few combos here, type combos. My TCG didn't really have that, so I'm going to add some of those. I'm also adding a whole new element where you can put your resource cards face down, and I was really opposed to this because I feel like it's just like Yu-Gi-Oh with trap cards, but it is different because they're triggered upon certain effects and you can't just put 5 down behind you and just hide behind them. It's still a very minimal thing, but I feel like having interaction on your opponent's turn really makes a difference to the card game, because if it's just my turn or I do all my cards, my opponent's turn he does all his cards, and then there's no interaction between you guys, the card game feels very much just like you. It doesn't feel very seamless. It feels very much like you go, I'll go, you go, I'll go, rather than like, oh, on your turn, I'm going to stop you playing that card, and then my effect activates because you played that card. I like that about a card game, and my card game had like 2 cards that did that in the whole deck. So we're changing that up. I'm going to reprint my cards, replay test them. I'm going to try and film more playtests as well, because I want you guys to be able to see how the game's progressing. And even though I can't go back and film how my card game used to be, which was very boring by the way, so you're welcome I didn't film that, you can now see what it's going to be, and it will probably change again and again and again until I'm finally happy with it. I think it's really fun because before this playtest I did the other day, I thought my card game was done. I was like, you know what, it's pretty much ready to release. It wasn't, and that makes me really happy because I still get to work on it. There's still more stuff I can do. I'm going to show you guys more playtests in the future, which is very, very fun. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know it's a bit more laid back. It wasn't really too much going on, but it's a really important part of the whole process, making your logo. I want to make it its own video because it's such a big deal that people kind of skip over it. You are also finalizing a name, you're finalizing the look of your TCG, the colors of your TCG. It's a big deal, so I hope this video kind of expressed that a little bit. And if you guys ever want to see any other content on this channel to do with TCG, please let me know. I know the channel was made for this series, but if you want to see me just like unbox stuff or talk about other TCGs that I like, or even go over what I like about other designs in TCGs, or open any other creators' homemade TCGs, please let me know anything you want to see. I'm always down for it. And if you guys like the videos, give it a like, subscribe, turn notifications on, check out my links in the description, go follow the Instagram. I think that's it. But I'm very excited for episode 5. Thank you for the support once again, and I will see you in the next episode of the Homemade TCG series catch-up thing. We're nearly caught up. I promise you there's only like 3 episodes until you guys are where I am, which is very exciting. Okay, bye guys.